Welcome to the next chapter in the series. This chapter is called Then and Now. My name's David Lee, and I'm taking you through this series to give you a step-by-step understanding of how to control a house for a $1 deposit with no mortgage needed. It's just another way to transact property that perhaps you're not familiar with, but's been around for quite a long time. One of the things we're going to talk about between then, that's the past, and now, is how we need to be able to adapt our thinking so we can understand. I'll give you some of my life experiences. I'm from Australia. I arrived here with my family in 1994, and I can vividly remember that when I approached the bank for a mortgage after a couple of years of being in the country, I was told that typically we have endowment mortgages, and you don't look to pay off your mortgage quickly. You pay it off over the full term, 25 years, 30 years, with this endowment product that we've got. And I was used to, and conditioned to from Australia, paying as much money as you could to pay down your mortgage as quickly and flexibly as you could. It was just like paying down, which is very popular now, but I was talking to a brick wall when the representative from the bank came to me. They didn't have anything like that, didn't know what I was talking about, until 18 months later when I approached another bank and they had just introduced these flexible pay-down mortgages. Oh, that's something that I'm used to. So that is one instance. Can I give you another one? As mentioned in the book. Do you remember, perhaps not, you had the difference between the beta version of video recorders and the VHS version. One was better than the other, and one ended up being the standard, and it was not the better version. It was VHS that became the standard. So what is the standard? Is the standard always the best way of doing things? Now, another thing that just threw me for six in the United Kingdom, again, coming from Australia, was this gentleman's agreement and buying a house. I've bought a house. I've bought you want to know I've bought a house? That's great. Well, what have you done? I've got a gentleman's agreement. I've agreed because I'm a gentleman. How much money have you put down on the house purchase? Absolutely nothing. But I've given him my word of mouth, my promise as a gentleman of England that I'm going to buy the house. We've never heard anything so ridiculous in our life. So instead of being a gentleman's agreement subject to contract, in Australia, it's subject to a contract with cash. That's the standard. So again, the standard is where you're living, in your environment, the people that you listen and hear, well, may not be the standard everywhere else. And are you open to listen to what could be the standard from another time, another era, another place, another country, what they do? That's why we talk about the immigrant theory, because I was the immigrant with the immigrant mentality, looking at things and comparing with why are people doing it like this, and people looking at me and saying, why are you doing it that way? Well, it was just the normal way for me. What else can we say about this chapter, about the past and the present? When I first arrived in the United Kingdom, as a business analyst, going to various organizations, I was like the troubleshooter, going in and looking at their problems. And so I was like the doctor. I was giving them what my prescription was to cure their problem. And so I'd have to go and make changes. So when I started working in property and developing these systems, I felt as though I'd not changed my position at all. I was doing exactly what I'd done in the commercial world, but this time in real estate in the United Kingdom. And so from my experience from both environments, when you make changes, when you do things differently, 50% of the people will be positive and excited because they can see the possibilities. And the other 50% will be so die-hard and encrusted in the system that they know and understand, and probably where they derive their benefit from, that they're too closed-minded, they don't want to know it, or they'll see everything that can go wrong. It's typically the yes, but, what if that never ends, goes on forever and ever, And you can't change those people. It's just human nature. And so you just go and do what you're doing. So I was in my own bubble, knowing what I had achieved previously, buying and selling properties in this way, and developing the systems with the legal people, the solicitors here in central London, and then going out, applying it, and again, step by step, little by little, and just expanding the parameters of what I was doing with every property that I was acquiring and on selling, and doing this over years, so that when the global financial crisis arrived in 2008, I had 6 years of experience breaking this down, repeating the process time and time again, refining everything. So if I had to get up and speak in front of these 50% of people that were the negative side of the audience, I had an answer to everything because I was talking from personal experience. So one last thing about then and now, okay, people, I remember at the time, people were just, it was in fear or uncertainty. They couldn't fathom whether it was good or bad. So many people just like to go with the flow with what the majority of people said, because they didn't really understand for themselves. I say to you, and I say to the people that I come in contact, have legal representation. Therefore, it's not you that are putting yourself at jeopardy because you're in perhaps a different country, a different location. Every solicitor has a certain way of thinking. Some say, yes, you can. Others say, no, we don't do that. Get yourself legally represented so that protects you. So that if you want to come up with some idea from what you're learning here, you can pass it by the solicitor. And is there any reason why we can't do this? I've got the paperwork that these people have provided from legal firms in this country that have been able to do this before. Is there any reason why you could not be able to use this paperwork to be able to do what I'm trying to do? And then you've got more credibility about what you're coming up with, and you're getting legal advice. You look as though you're more credible, because people are always going to default think, is this a scam? I said this in the earlier videos. So you've got to be able to deflect all these objections that can come your way. If you put in a system and steps and answer objections that are going to come up in their mind, and you're forewarned, and you can even say what these objections are going to be as part of your dialogue with buyers or sellers, it's going to make you look more credible. So that was then, this is now. Are you adaptable? If you're not, stop the series now. Go back to doing what you were doing. But what I'm explaining here, you can be applying to whatever strategy you're doing. It's just you can circumvent the banking system in some instances to a greater degree or lesser degree, but it gives you the options that you didn't have before. So let's keep going, read this chapter, and we'll move on with the next one as we go deeper and delve more into how to control a house for a $1 deposit with no mortgage needed. Thank you very much.